War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we sit down, we get together, we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you just stopping by for even just a few minutes just to hang out with us and talk about what you love, what we love about being an Auburn family member. On tonight's live stream, we're going to be talking about a preview, our last preview, well, technically the last regular season preview of the 2021 season, that being Auburn versus Alabama in the 2021 Iron Bowl. It has arrived. It is the best week of the year, no matter how bad Auburn might be or bad Alabama might be. It hasn't happened lately. It has happened in the past, though. No matter what the teams may be doing, you throw everything out and you just get excited for Iron Bowl week. It's here, folks. It's the best time of the year. And what a game today by the basketball team. We'll talk about that more on our weekly live stream. If you missed last night's live stream about basketball, go back and check that out. Here's some of my thoughts about how the tournament will transpire. But tonight, this live stream, we're mainly just talking about Auburn versus Alabama and the preview. So what's on tap for this show tonight? Mainly, we're just going to be kind of bouncing around, hearing from you. Especially, you can call in. The link is at the top of the chat window. You can click on that. It can be audio only. You can be on video only. It doesn't matter. However you'd like to. Love to hear some of your thoughts and your perspectives on this game. So we'll be taking calls, taking comments and questions in the chat. We'll hear from our sponsor a little bit later. And towards the end of the show, we're going to do final score predictions. Should be pretty interesting. Probably a little pessimistic for some of us. But hey, we'll see what happens. That's what's on tap for the show today. What you can do for me really quickly, if you can, right now in the chat window, post where you're watching from, even if you're on the replay, City, State, International with a War Eagle, or whatever fight cry that you have if you're a weird visiting fan. Hopefully we don't get too many of the RTs in the chat, but I'm sure we'll get a few of those. Smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. It does help it out. Share it out on social media as well if you can. Let some people know that we're live so they can join in on the fun, maybe even call in and talk to us a little bit tonight. You can do those things, but also we'll talk about ways you can support our content here. One of those being our sponsor for this the live streams that we've been doing this entire month, and that has been manscaped.com. So you can see a little code down there below. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get later on in the stream. Let's get right into it, folks. Let's go ahead and say hello to some people that are here. Russell's 2 nights in a row. We had live streams Monday, Tuesday, and now Wednesday. Russell, you're on fire, man, being here really early. Let's see. Iron Bowl victors, Eagle from Birmingham. Everybody, thumbs appreciate that, reminding people to do that. Some Thanksgiving Eve love. Yes, I'm ready tomorrow to fill this already very large stomach that you thankfully can't see up with some more food and prepare myself for what's going to be an awesome Iron Bowl weekend. Corey Benson in the house. Good to see you, sir. He's one of our Booster Club members. Thank you for your support, sir, as always. Sir. Struggling tonight, apparently. Rob Donaldson, War Eagle from Huntsville. Good to see you. And Devin, of course, from Texas, also ready to get that dub. I love it. I love it so much. Let's see here. This is going to be a big game for recruiting, by the way, Kyle. Can we have a reaction stream for December 15th through the 17th? Is that the early signing period? Is that what you're referring to, Corey? Make sure you clarify that with me so I can know what exactly you're talking about. Potentially, yeah. If you guys want something, just request. You might get it. I'm open to anything. If you guys will watch it, I will be here. It's like you build it and they will come. It's kind of the whole idea behind this thing. Yes. Okay. Yes, we will likely do something for early signing period and talk about those. We used to have a recruiting podcast. Those guys have stepped away from that and are doing their own thing. Not their own thing, but just not doing the podcast anymore. But I miss them. Wish they kind of still had the time to do it. But we'll definitely talk a little bit about that. That's the big thing here is I'm just not the biggest recruiting guy, but I will talk about it some, especially for things like early signing period, kind of leading up to it, especially for the final signing day. Those are big things that we can talk about. If we get a really big recruit, that might be something to take a step back and talk about. But yes, I know this is a huge recruiting weekend for Auburn. And if you can't get excited for the game, you need to get excited for the people that are coming to Auburn this weekend, especially those recruits. This is going to be a crucial cycle for Auburn to relay the foundation for what Coach Harsin and, just assuming Coach Harsin stays, but if he weren't to stay, for the future, we have got to begin to rebuild the offensive and defensive line. And it starts right here. And that doesn't mean they have to be 5 stars. They can be all 3 stars, but if you get the right 3 stars, they'll be 5 stars by the time they leave here with the right coaching and everybody's favorite word, development. But yes, I know there's a star-studded cast that is coming. I think they just announced to the top JUCO cornerback is now said he's coming, so that's a huge get as well, as much as we've struggled in that area. But really my focus, as it always has been the offensive and defensive line. And that's going to be my focus for the Iron Bowl as well. Who can win that matchup? On paper, it is clearly Alabama's game in terms of that matchup. But does that mean it's going to go according to plan? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So go ahead and post right now what you're thinking about, any questions, thoughts, things that you have about the game. Would love to hear some of those. They said on the radio today up to 20 recruits will be at the game. Is that 20 on official visits? Because, they can come on unofficial visits. And I think I don't know the ins and outs of how all that works, but I know that usually there's more recruits than are actually officially on a list. It means they can stop by and see some stuff, but they don't get all the perks and stuff unless they're on an official visit. And they only get so many of those per recruiting cycle. So those might be the ones on the list. But there's going to be more even added after that point. So you need to get excited. You need to be ready. By the way, can y'all hear me okay? I feel like this thing keeps going in and out. Let me know if it sounds okay, because I can hear myself in here, but every once in a while it sounds like it's going out. If you guys ever hear any problems with that, let me know. Rob says we need O-line and D-line so bad. Immediate starting time available for those big names. Well, yeah, there's starting availability for anybody. You don't have to be a big name, right? No, I wouldn't say that Drew Bobo is a big name. He's a big name because his dad's here. If Drew is got the talent and he gets the coaching to combine with that, doesn't matter if you're a big name or not. There's opportunity abounding at Auburn right now. And that's a selling point that they need to really, really push. Heard over 100 high-profile recruits are coming Saturday. As long as it doesn't get ugly, should be a very successful year and future. No, even if it does get ugly, okay? So here's the thing that you've got to remember about all this is Auburn is selling itself on how we respond to those situations, right? So if we all pout in the stands if it gets ugly, which you look on paper, probably does look like it might get ugly, then yeah, the recruits are going to see that and they're like, I don't want to be part of that. They don't care. They get hit in the mouth and they don't try to get back up. And I know that has more to do with the players on the field and such like that. But, we as fans can factor in on that. Make that place. If you're going to be there, I will be on campus as I always am. But if you're going to be in the stadium, stay through the whole thing. Be loud. When you see a recruit passing by, tell them War Eagle. Make it act like you're actually happy to be there, And I'm not obviously talking about anybody here specifically, just a overarching statement. But let's face it, it will be the biggest game they've ever been to in their lifetime. And that's the Iron Bowl, right? The Iron Bowl garners that much attention and garners that much notoriety. It's David versus Goliath, as it always has been. Because they've always been, the more storied program, simply because of, they've started before us and all, in the truest sense and all that kind of stuff. They've had Bear Bryant, they've had Nick Saban, but we've also had that same legacy and success, just in a different manner, in a more humble manner. But take everything away. And I will always talk to people about this who aren't Auburn or Alabama fans when they talk about the Iron Bowl. I said, look, there are 3 rivalries in college football that I think that you can put up as the greatest ones. That would be obviously Auburn, Alabama. Number 2, Michigan, Ohio State. And it used to be, and I've kind of removed that now, USC, Notre Dame. And the analogy I would use is USC and Notre Dame see each other once a year, if that, and they're across the country. So they barely ever cross paths. Maybe. Michigan, Ohio State, cross state. they see each other enough, right? Auburn and Alabama are stuck together 365 days a year. Bragging never stops. The hurt never stops. The jawing back and forth never stops. That is the Iron Bowl, and that is why it's the greatest college football rivalry, but it's the greatest rivalry in sports ever. Doesn't matter how big the teams are on either side. Throw everything out for the Iron Bowl. Last greatest D-line recruit, Derek Brown. Your thoughts? No, I would say that's currently here. Probably TD Moultrie. That would be a good one. I'm struggling, so maybe that just kind of made your point there. Corey says getting ugly could work in our favor. They could hit the ground running if they chose Auburn. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's all about salesmanship, right? Maybe they need to have Bruce Pearl be the salesman for this weekend and say what to be able to spin it, whatever. But he's in Bahamas right now, so it really can't really help. Rob, question: how many recruits there to see the other team? Well, the way it works, if I understand it, is when you go, you're going as a host for the home team or being hosted by the home team. So, yeah, there's going to be some that are coming because Alabama's there, but they're still getting a chance to see us. So, hey, you never know. Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for being here. And War Eagle to you as well. Hope you're excited for Iron Bowl weekend. It's not like we're going to win. Wow, Jamari. I want to see some commitments after Saturday, though. Don't go ahead and bank on that. I would not bank your hope and happiness on that. You can't do that on the whims of an 18-year-old. It will never satisfy you. Just like winning will never satisfy you. But I hope that you believe that we have a shot at winning. All right, we got our first caller tonight. He's always the first one in there. Let's say hello to Mr. Kevin Kelly. Kevin, what's going on?
War Eagle.
War Eagle, how you doing, buddy?
Our basketball team did good.
It absolutely did. And we'll talk about that a little bit next week. Obviously, they've got more to play. But what you think about the Iron Bowl?
I'm ready for it.
So, how are we going to win this thing, Kevin? Make me feel better about it.
We will have some trick plays up our sleeves.
Well, we certainly have tried the trick plays this year, and they haven't really worked out in our favor. So that makes, if you're saying we're going to have some trick plays, that makes me a little bit worried. But hey, listen, it's the Iron Bowl. You know, there's no other, games after this other than the bowl game. So throw it all out there, right?
Yeah, Tank needs a 100-yard rushing game.
Yeah, so I think he's sitting at, I forget his total yardage exactly, but I think it was just over 900. So a 100-yard rushing game would clearly get him over the 1,000-yard rushing mark. He needs that for his personal stats, right? But
yeah,
I think if Tank does what he did last week, right? He got 160 something yards, I think. So I think if Tank can put over just 100 and maybe 120 yards, I think that bodes well for Auburn because we established the run. That's what that tells me, at least somewhat.
And I hope our wide receivers catch all the passes.
Well, that's a big ask this year, Kevin.
Will Hutchinson be playing?
Are you talking about Kobe Hudson?
Yeah.
I have not heard. Now, my understanding is that the reason he missed is because he was in the concussion protocol where they have to sit out for so long to make sure that they're ready. It depends on how he's responding, and it depends on if the medical staff deems him eligible. And I have not heard that. Now, somebody else may be able to clarify that for me.
How about Owen Popo?
Owen's done for the season, I believe. I believe so. I know that there's some speculation out there that he. Well, now that you're making me question myself, Kevin. I think I was told that he's basically going to hang it up for the year, but he is going to be back, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, he's coming back?
I believe that is what I'm hearing. I have not heard that directly from someone who knows that officially, but that's what I'm hearing.
How about
which is a good sign.
This is a rumor about the coach leaving.
Yeah, it's not a fun rumor, is it? But my take on that is where there's smoke, there's fire. The question is to what degree is the smoke or is the fire? So right now I wouldn't worry about it too much. We gotta worry about the Iron Bowl, and then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's my favorite phrase. But since you called in, I want you to give us, and everybody else hold your predictions. But Kevin, since he called in, can go ahead and give us his score prediction. What do you think?
Auburn 35 and Alabama 24.
Auburn 35, Alabama 20. Hey, that's a respectable score. They're favored to win, and if that means we lose by just over double digits, I can deal with that. I don't like it. I don't like losing, but I can deal with a double-digit loss of that manner. So that's pretty good. So love it. So if you had to give the guys one bit of encouragement before you head off here for the game, what would you say to them?
I said, say them to them, good luck and bring home the victory.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Kevin, for calling in tonight. War Eagle.
War Eagle, happy Thanksgiving.
You as well, sir. I hope you have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Kevin. You guys can take advantage of the call-in line, too, at the top of the chats. Click on that, and you can be on camera like Kevin was, or it can just be audio. It's really easy. No pressure. It's always great to see your smiling faces on our live shows, though. Rodney, I saw you checked in here. Good to see you from Brood. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Kyle has two of the greatest rivalries in the nation. What did I say something wrong there? Of course, I'm kind of following up here on some of these comments, so I'm probably a little behind on some of this. Jamari, the South Carolina game broke any optimism I had of us winning another game this season. I understand, man. I really do, Jamari. I get it. Listen. It's tough, man. When you lose to a team that you had no business losing to, that rocks you to your core. But this is the Iron Bowl, baby. Throw it all out. Everything's fair game here. Doesn't matter. Saturday's game strategy, Rob says, must score 45 plus in the first half. It really is. And I think that's probably, my analysis would be, what can Auburn's defense respond? If they can, the offense at home, I feel like, can get going. And if they do, we've seen they have the ability to score and score fast. So even though they're not a no-huddle offense. So let's hope that they can do that, because otherwise, yes, 45 plus in the first half would probably be a wise choice. Let's see. Offense goes to defense and defense goes to offense. That's how we are going to beat Alabama. Let's looking at all these comments in here. If Bruce takes his shirt off again while he's in the Bahamas this Saturday, Auburn gets the #1 recruiting class. If Cardwell is what you mean, joins him again, AU Athletics may never lose another game. Well, maybe they can do that. Actually, they'll be back, I guess. I was saying, I'm thinking like the game's tomorrow or something. So they have their game tomorrow, game Friday, and I guess they'll be back for it. I don't know, but that would be huge, right? Have him in there in the stands in the freezing cold, because it's going to be a very crisp, I think the high is 60. So that means like in the shade, especially, you're going to be like 55, maybe. It's going to be crisp. It's going to be real crisp. Whole crowd's got to go shirtless. Oh no. Well, if I get in that crowd, I definitely won't do that. So I won't participate in that. Not on that game. I went shirtless one time in the stands of the student section during the rain game. That was about all this shirtless. Actually, I went during Auburn versus LSU 2007. We painted up. It's my first and only time painting up. It's a lot of mess, man. A lot of mess. Did y'all know the first mascot for Auburn? Oh, wow. That story keeps coming up here. I mean, that's always interesting to talk about, but not really relevant at this moment. I heard the basketball team will be back for the game. Yes, I think it would work out that way. I'd hope they would be, because I'd hope we could get Cardwell and stuff in there, but they may be really tired after that. They went to double overtime, almost triple overtime today alone, and that's going to have them worn out. All right, let's do a couple of quick discussions about some early statistics. And then I want us to talk about who do you think is going to have a good game, who do you think's how you think it's going to go, those type of things. 81%, 81.6 to be specific on ESPN says that Alabama will win this. So you're saying there's a chance, right? So you're saying there is a chance. Bryce Young, potential Heisman winner. apparently. Here's the thing. Let me just go ahead and say this. I'm not taking anything away from Bryce Young at all. I'm just simply saying, like, I feel like at this point, if you're an Alabama quarterback, you got to do something extraordinary to be the Heisman. I think you should, because you're just playing behind the best offensive line that there is. But he's a young guy putting up great stats, and credit goes to him for doing that. But that's just kind of me, and me being sour grapes, because I don't want Alabama to pass us in the Heisman category now, because their first two they should not have gotten. Both of those times, the running back from Stanford got gypped. Can't really say much about the whole wide receiver one. That one was pretty outstanding. But Bryce Young has got 263 completions out of 367. He's got 3,500 and plus yards, 38 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. The question is, for me, is he just that well protected, or is he just that good of a passer? I'm more inclined to think that he's just that well protected. I mean, they've got offensive tackle Evan Neal, who's like one of the best out there. So, I think if we can somehow get to him and rat him a little bit, we might see those interceptions raise up there a little bit. Might be able to spoil it for him a little bit, maybe. Problem is they've got other weapons. Brian Robinson, running back, Williams, Mechie. The list just goes on and on. That's the biggest problem that Alabama has. Auburn has with Alabama, is the amount of weapons that they have to account for. It's the hardest thing right there. All right, let's catch up on some comments real quick, and then we'll probably hear from our sponsor. I feel like this thing's going in and out for some reason tonight. So if you guys are fine with it, let me know. But it just sounds a little odd up here in the headset. I've been toying with my setup a little bit, if you can't tell. Different angles and stuff like that. That little blank space back there is going to be filled up soon. Making E2C Central a little bit more nice for you all. At least I hope it is. We will be freezing in Section 1. Now, Section 1 would be, is that the end zone? Is that what that is? If you are, you will, and you're in that shady part, you are going to be freezing. But be there and be loud. Tank and Hunter will both have a 100-yard game. Now, Alabama's defense has been pretty susceptible this year. I mean, they let Arkansas run on them. They let Texas A&M do it. They let Ole Miss do it for a time. Listen, it's possible. And if Tank and Hunter do get 100-yard games each, that's a really good sign for Auburn. Really, really good sign. Will it happen? Probably not. But I have confidence based off how I saw Tank perform last week and the anger that he seemed that he was playing with, and probably still has after that game. I think Tank's going to get 100. It feels like it. That same ESPN metric, Dusty. By the way, Dusty is one of our channel members and Booster Club members. Thank you for your support, sir. Had us at 99.99% chance to win, up 28-3 on State. Well, I think most people would think that, right? And then Auburn's defense and Will Rogers met. And that was not fun. Yes. So don't worry about the metrics. I'm just giving you a perception of what everybody else's perception is. Doesn't really mean that that's going to happen. No pressure now. Could be really fun to watch. I think that's one of the things that you should do going into this game, is just go in it with an idea to have fun. And then, hey, look at that. Maybe you have a game for part of it. Hopefully. Even Kyle could win the Heisman behind the best offensive line throwing to 4- and 5-star receivers. So I've said this exact same thing, which is hilarious that you brought this up, Rob. I can behind that offensive line with those wide receivers. Now, that doesn't take anything away from Alabama and Nick Saban, because they had to go get those guys, right? But to me, it's like I can't really argue with their wide receiver Heisman, because that never happens, and you've got to really earn it. And he did. The whole running back with Derek King. Now, Derek's doing great in the NFL, but how's Mark Ingram doing? And that's not necessarily the case for a Heisman and all that. I get that. I'm just kind of adding that on to my case here. They both didn't deserve it the year that they got it. They were just given to it because it was Alabama, and Mark was their first one and all that kind of stuff. I just don't feel like Bryce has done enough, outside of what every other Alabama quarterback has done lately. To me, that's just me outside looking in. I don't watch them every game, but I'm looking at his stats and I see the highlights and stuff. But we'll find out, right? I'm probably going to be sitting there with egg in my face at beginning of next week. That's just my opinion, though. If Auburn plays with heart, it's going to be a good game. Got to play 4 quarters, though, and that is absolutely the facts. Auburn does not come in there ready to keep it full throttle, pedal to the metal for all 4 quarters. You're going to see what happened against Texas A&M. You're going to see what happened against South Carolina, against Mississippi State. Repeat itself, and we will fail. It would be hilarious if we do the same trick play LSU and Arkansas pulled on them. Well, I would bet they're probably ready for that now. So it would be hilarious if it were possible to pull that off. Hopefully we got a little bit of extra stuff for them coming up soon. The problem is what we've seen happen with the trick plays for us is the team is just not there preparation mentally wise to pull those off in those type of moments yet. They could be down the line, but not yet. They're not. So that's my fear. I would just rather us focus on establishing the run, getting TJ comfortable enough to complete some pretty good passes, and then let's just see where the chips fall after that. If you're in a position then to maybe take a shot, I don't fault them for doing that, on a little thing, but let's not do those early in a desperation type of thing. Do those when you've got the cards in your hand and there's less risk involved. Do you think we'll go after a new wide receiver coach after the season or stick with what we got? Well, that assumes that everybody's there, right? I'm not saying anything in terms of expect changes, but you know how this thing goes when the off season and the old Auburn luck goes. Listen, Keesaw is a Harsin guy with Harsin, as far as I know, planning to be back. I would suspect that he keeps him there. And I think personally that we have seen some things shift for the most part in the wide receivers since that time. So I would say that he's done enough to retain himself for another year. Now, he could slide back into his old role and then, I'd bring a wide receiver coach in. But I don't know. It just to me feels like he'll be back in that role. To be fair enough, there really hasn't been many, if any, standout Heisman level players this year. That Puckett or Pickett guy, I think is what his name was at Pittsburgh. He was pretty good for a little while. Everybody's favorite was Spencer Rattler. How's that going? I'd honestly be fine with them giving it to a defensive player like Jordan Davis of Georgia, just because he's a beast and he's not going to get it. Because now they're doing the desperation things of letting him have running plays and stuff like that. So that's just kind of to get him there. See, those are things that you do to get them to New York, not necessarily to win it. Corral, I think, has the best resume in terms of individual performance, not his team's performance. But yeah, so there we are. LSU held Alabama to 6 yards rushing for the game. That can't be right, is it? That not with Brian Robinson. That can't be right. Are you sure? I admit we're our deserved underdogs, but the Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare can bring surprising outcomes. Kick 6 2.0. You just never know, right? If we create some type of magic for the Iron Bowl this year, I'd rather it be something just completely new and unique and something that we've never seen before, because that would be really just another little straw. What is it? Our feather to throw in our cap, not a straw. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put the call-in number again. If you guys, it's at the top of the chat, but I've also posted there. Feel free to call in if you'd like to. You don't have to be on camera. You can just be voice only. Don't be shy. You want to. Want to hear from some of you guys and ladies out there. Real quick, let's hear from our sponsor. You can see it down below right there. This entire month, we have been thankfully sponsored and working with manscaped.com. The cool thing is this week, folks, is that not only do you already get a percentage off plus free shipping from us via Manscaped using the code E2C, now you can get 25% off for this week only. I think leading up to the 29th is when the special ends for Black Friday. For the holiday shopping has begun as of basically tomorrow, if it hasn't already begun already for you. Most people it has, I think. But you want to go over to manscaped.com and find yourself some options there that you can get for the man in your life, because they are one of the leaders in men's grooming. One of the things that you could try out over there is the Lawnmower 4.0, which is their full body trimmer that I have tried out myself, and I really, really like. It's got a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, and it has their advanced skin safe technology to also aid in keeping that from happening. You can know if you're a guy, whether you're shaving your beard or whatever, that can get a little frustrating. So just made for a man, and it's they're one of the leaders in men's grooming. I want to go check that out. They've got other products that you can check out there as well. Now go over to manscaped.com using the code E2C for that 25% off. Again, that's code E2C at manscaped.com for that 25% off. Be thankful this holiday season for the gift of Manscaped. All right, we got a caller, so let's talk to him right now. He's been waiting patiently in the wind. Mr. Russell, what is going on?
Hey, War Eagle Cow.
Hey, man, War Eagle to you. Just sitting here trying to convince myself that we can win the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, me and you both. Me and you both trying to lick our wounds from the basketball game today, but they fought hard coming back from 15. I was impressed.
I hear you on the licking the wounds thing, because it's a tough way to lose, but at the same time, I'm very proud of them. And that they showed a lot of Auburn fight and spirit. And so it's kind of one of the, I hate, nobody likes moral victories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was very proud, because that UConn team, really good. And Auburn showed that they are capable of competing with teams like that. So really good.
Absolutely. I was impressed. It's early in the season, the fourth game, I think it was, something like that. Playing UConn, I don't know how many veterans they have, but just being a storied program, I imagine they probably had a little deeper senior leadership or junior whatever leadership, and that can go a long ways earlier in the season. So I was impressed to see Auburn, especially fight back with a young crew like they got, because you can only imagine how much the chemistry is going to gel together here in the next couple of months before SEC play and Flanny coming back. And I think it's like you said, moral victories. That's no fun, but trying to look forward to the next couple of games, which we won't have to wait as long this time. So the next couple of days we can watch Auburn again and see how they stack up against some still good talent, but maybe hopefully that's the best team we'll play today, so we can get some victories.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, man. So what's on your mind with the Iron Bowl?
Oh, a lot too much to go over in your podcast, but I definitely I've wanted to call you back a few times, but sometimes I have to work and I try to listen. And,
I understand.
But I mean, I'm excited. Of course, it's the Iron Bowl. I'm upset because of the last 3 games, because I was very excited 3 games ago for the Iron Bowl. But yeah, I do think we have a chance being at Jordan-Hare, and the team has to have something to prove. They have to all feel it, and they've made comments earlier in the preseason, and if they're men of their word, they got to back them up. Ripping the head off the elephant was the quote from Tony Fair that Bo Nix had to defend him, at SEC Media Days when they put him on the spotlight about ripping the head off the elephant. Unfortunately, Bo's not going to be able to play, but I'm sure I'm not the only one that remembers him making that statement. So they need to show up ready to play, and being at Jordan-Hare. Crowd's obviously going to be fired up. They're not going to be leaving at halftime. I wouldn't think this game. This is it's going to be different from those other crowds that we saw this year. And no offense to my Auburn fans, there's reasons for everything. I've had to leave games early before, so I can't hate on people who've had to leave early. But it'd be nice to see a full, just crazy, rowdy, packed crowd, just to keep everybody fired up. And I don't know. I expect it to be hard hitting, of course, and all that. But it'd be nice to have a few more games in a row victories for a little momentum. But with it being the Iron Bowl, and everybody's looking as Auburn as the underdog. Nobody's picking. Even Auburn fans are picking Auburn. And usually Auburn, they play best in their underdog role. So I'm trying to hold out hope, even though we are out talented about the comparison to team rosters. But I still have hope. I really do. And Harrison knows this is a job maker and breaker. This is what makes and breaks you, and this is what those kids play. To try to make it to the NFL games like this. So there's a lot of players on Auburn's team that want to play in the NFL just as well as at Alabama. So we'll see if Auburn can finally put it together, Kyle, this week, because it's so painful watching Auburn this year. At least to me, I follow it pretty close. Played football and all that, and I understand the game. So it's been so frustrating this year because we literally have the talent, like I've heard you mention, to win or lose every game. And it's so frustrating because we haven't put it all together. in some of the big moments consistently like we need to.
Right.
And maybe this is the game. Who knows?
You know, the way I always like to phrase it to people, if Chris Davis can run it back 109 yards, anything's possible.
I agree.
So, you know, I think you should be realistic, and it sounds like you are, and I think most Auburn fans are, that, you know, what everybody else is expecting. Everyone's expecting Alabama to win. You know, the difference is in Auburn and Alabama fans, even if they won't admit it, they know when it comes to Auburn and Alabama, the Iron Bowl in Jordan-Hare, you throw everything out until you can take care of business. Now, if Alabama gets out there and, you know, what probably people expect them to do and get a few touchdowns lead to start off with, it's probably going to go the way everybody thinks. But, you know, if this thing creeps on into the end of the half and, you know, maybe even to the third quarter and, you know, Auburn's making a game of it, you just never know, man. The magic of Shug Jordan and Pat Dye just comes out. Those statues, you just, you know.
Yeah, give me the chills even saying it.
You just never know. You just never know, right?
Yeah, it just gives me the chills even thinking about it. I mean, who knows what's going to be in the air in Jordan-Hare, or what speaker is going to talk to the team and what he might say that just hits that nerve with the players where they play like maniacs, you know, the whole game. You know? I mean, things like that happen. That's why it's so hard to predict college football and why I don't recommend gambling on it, because some of my most sure you know, things I would have gambled on, I've lost, because this is 18 and 20-year-old kids who nobody can predict, you know, and that's why you see these big upsets every week.
Yep.
And it would be shocking. It would really be shocking, but it would definitely ease some of the pain of the season. And I know a lot of fans are upset. I'm upset. You know, I'm trying to give Harsin his fair due, in my opinion. I know a lot of people want to get rid of him and all. I think that's absurd. We can't start that train, but give him a little bit of time, and I think he's going to be successful, and that's just what I think. And who knows what's going to happen, but he at least deserves a chance. You know, this whole hiring coaches and firing them after a year and a half into their tenure, that's not enough time, especially when you're changing a lot of aspects of the previous program. So it takes a lot of time to get your guys in there and get your stamp on it. And like he said in this press conference last week, they were like, why do these things keep happening? You preach on discipline, this, that, and the other, and it's just not happening. He said, look, I'm tired of talking about it too. We've gone over this with the team. We've addressed these things. We don't want to keep making mistakes. We're trying not to. And he said, we're coaching it every week. We're saying the same thing. He said, I'm tired of talking about it. It's time to put it on the field. Yeah. I mean, he made a clear statement. I'm sure his players listen to that. And I'm sure he's saying that to the team, but he's just aired it out for all of Auburn to hear, all of our fans to hear. You know, they've addressed it. The issue should not keep coming up. And
yeah, you know, this is, I think he even said it, this game is the culmination of what we've been trying to do this season. Not because it's specifically Alabama, because it's the last game of your season. You know, you've been doing this all season, trying to figure this out, make the puzzle pieces fit together. It is time for them to fit somewhat, even if you got to force it in a little bit, you know, maybe it's a little unconventional, but it's time to start putting some of that out there to see the Auburn fans, but Auburn, the program, needs a trajectory, and it needs to be an upward trajectory with this game. And so that doesn't have to, everybody gets mad when you say these things like, how are you're just accepting a loss. No, I'm not accepting a loss, but I'm just going with the reality of we're up against. Even if it's a loss, I want to see a team like the Gene Chizik. Now, I know that he didn't have the greatest overall tenure here outside of the championship thing. Yeah. But his team was going in the right direction based off that Iron Bowl. Yeah. And we saw what happened with it. So if we can see a trajectory from this game, I walk away from that game not happy, but hopeful for what's going to happen in the future.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
You want to give us your score prediction since you're live?
Yeah. Just to sum up what I was about, I think the recruits I think it would just be outstanding to see a competitive game like you're talking about to make you have a little bit better feeling for the season. I agree with that. I just think that the amount of recruits that I keep hearing over and over, and people have been talking about it for over a month now, about the just insane amount of talent. Of course, that's people just wanting to watch the Iron Bowl. Granted, but when you have that many kids come, just the percentages, you know, in your favor, if you even get a small percentage of those kids, that's a huge. I just think it could be a big deal if it outplays like a competitive game, and we're going to get a lot of good recruits regardless. We are, even if we do get blown out, because it's obvious we need depth. You know, kids want to play, they want they want to play in the SEC. But man, a competitive game, like you said, upward trajectory to where even the people who are at the game and the recruits see that. Oh wow, yeah, it could bode well, great things, and especially for the next 2 or 3 years. I think the next Auburn fans if they keep their patience and keep parsing around the next 2 or 3 years, recruiting are going to be up there in the top 10 region, and maybe
and we
even top
won't,
5.
yeah, and we won't know unless we give them the time to do it. So that's the thing. Patience
Exactly.
is the big thing we need to preach. Give me that score prediction.
Exactly.
I want to hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't even thought about it, so just off the top of my head, I'm gonna. I got a lot of Auburn in me. 30-27 Auburn.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Hey, listen, you can change that when we do everybody's here towards the end of the show if you'd like.
Yep.
But we've got your initial thoughts. I will take it, man. If Auburn wins, it's going to be basically. I don't know if a field goal is going to do it. No offense to Ben Patton. I was a kicker myself, so I just the margin between Anders to Ben Patton is miles, and there's a reason for that. So no offense to him, but hey, man, thank you for calling in.
The score then. I had to rethink. I might have to figure. You had good points. I wasn't even thinking about field goals, but I need to think a little bit deeper on that score.
It doesn't even have to be fit. We could. Who knows? We could get an 8. A touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and then a safety to get, and that gets you to 10 points. You just never know. But hey, we'll find out, right? But
maybe one of these wild plays that Bobo's been calling, on 4th down, maybe a couple of them will finally work for a change, and we'll be happy then. But the percentages are not in his favor.
They are
so
not.
I don't want to get off on the I know you got to move on, but there's a lot of topics that I haven't been able to catch up with you, and that's another one.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Hopefully this Saturday we'll all be happy and happy God bless Thanksgiving to you, Kyle, and your listeners.
Thank you. You as well, Russell. Thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, take care now.
War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Good to hear from Russell. We've heard from Kevin and Russell. You can call into at the top of the chat and hang out with me for a little bit if you'd like, on or off camera. Good examples tonight. Kevin was on camera. Russell was off camera. You can do either one. Take advantage of it there right now. We're probably going to stay on basically the full time up to when War Report goes live, but I might cut off just a little bit because we got some things going on here at the E2C Network headquarters, but we'll keep going for now. Excuse me. All right. I know there were a couple of questions I want to address. Rodney asked, I know this isn't Auburn related, but where was the website for those clippers? It's right there on the bottom, manscaped.com. Use the code E2C for that percentage off and that special deal they got going over there. And it's not just for the clippers, it's for everything else, but there you go. Manscaped.com right there at the bottom. If you need help, just shoot me a message on social media. I can help you out. Stankopotamus says, expect Finley to have a good game. He's going to need it. He's going to need it for this. And what a great story it would be to see him get the start in the Iron Bowl for the injured Bo Nix and just come out and do that. Just something amazing. I'm hoping for that. And you guys know me as the Bo Nix apologist and the Bo Nix defender and all that stuff and all of this stuff that he's been through and people not liking him and stuff like that. I want TJ Finley to have the best game ever because Auburn wins. Let's see here. I hope Auburn, I hope Harsin has a new DC on the recruiting list. You never know, right? Stankopotamus, I guess back to what you were saying. I don't think you should hope that he becomes quarterback no more. I think you should just hope that he does the best job that he can and let the rest of that happen. This game is not going. If this game decides him as quarterback number 1, that means Bo Nix is not coming. I'm not trying to continue to angst that whole discussion point because I know some of y'all are just in TJ's camp and you just don't want Bo to have it. And I'm not saying that you are, but it's time to just let that go. It really is. If TJ was good enough to beat Bo, he would have done it. He's had the opportunity to do it. And that's not taking anything away from TJ. It's just the facts. It's the same discussion we just had with Anders and Ben. There's a reason there's a starter and a backup. But you hope that your starter or your backup, has very little drop off when that comes in. There's been some since Bo has been injured, but not a lot. I was pleased with what I saw out of him for the most part. Yeah, Big Simp. We can celebrate that a little bit, but we'll talk more about that on another live stream. Doug, good to see you. One of our channel members and Booster Club members. Thank you so much, sir. By the way, did you get your shirt, buddy? Did that come in? Was that you? I thought we sent you a shirt. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember if we ever followed up on that or not. I think Mason will stay, but Bobo is gone hard to get rid of both. Is gone hard to get rid of both on a new staff. Yeah, and listen, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a change. Well, I actually am. Let me just take that back. I'm a fan of stability, and I think everybody should get at least another year because I was expecting these problems. And I'm not just saying that because it's easy to say that now. You can go back in the live streams. I've been saying that since the very beginning. I was predicting a 7-5 season. It might be less. At this rate, it's going to be worse than that. Yeah, just, I think it's in Auburn's best interest as a program for us to maintain some stability into the next year. Stankopotamus says, I like Bo a lot, but I know he will have bad games. Well, all quarterbacks have bad games. The difference is, so if you look at the example of Bryce Young, I don't know if you were here when we were discussing him. The difference is that Bryce has the pieces around him to cover up his flaws. That incredible offensive line, incredible wide receivers. That ring a bell for what Auburn's dealing with. And then they got a decent running back. Auburn's got a great running back. Not a great offensive line. Not great wide receivers. Everyone blames the quarterback. But as Coach Harsin has tried to say in the very beginning, when people started questioning that and making that a storyline, again, it's not always the quarterback's fault. A lot of the time it is. It's time to stop rooting for one over the other and just root for who is out there. Let me know if you can. By the way, I don't know if you know it's on the app. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, let me know if you had any problems with it or if it was all good. Just want to make sure that you got all that stuff. I think Bobo can be solid. His biggest problem is that he tries to get to be balanced for the sake of being balanced, even to the detriment of playing away from what's working last Saturday. See, I actually see the opposite. I think he wanted to try to be too cute or too different, and we weren't ready for that. And maybe now he's reverted back to that state, which is probably what's happened. I don't know. Listen, we've all got our opinions. Somebody's wrong in all of it, and it's probably me. All right. Let me look at some of these other things here. I don't know why, but tonight it sounds like to me in my headphones, it sounds off. But you guys seem to be okay with it. Let's see here. I'm trying to get back to the little stats thing on this if we can figure out points per. All right, so we're getting ready to do our score predictions here, but I'm going to give you some things to think about before we do that. Okay, Alabama, 44.4 points per game. Auburn, 30.3 points per game. So from that alone, there's a 14-point differential in scoring. That doesn't look good. Points allowed per game, 19 for Alabama, 22 for Auburn. Pretty even, obviously in the favor of Alabama. Usually, I think that's a little bit more that Alabama's offense has just beat the life out of people and thus not really made them want to compete any further. I really think their defense is susceptible outside of like Will Anderson, but we'll find out on Saturday. Total yards, 105 per game for Alabama, 427 for Auburn. Not bad. Not Alabama standards. But you get the point here. Yards allowed, 306 for Alabama, 368 for Auburn. Not a huge difference, but a difference. Everything's in Alabama's favor. The stats, the prognosticators, the predictions, all of that stuff. But I still maintain to you, throw it all out. It doesn't matter in the Iron Bowl. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. Dusty, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Going to chill with the family. Bama 48-14. War Eagle, and a happy Thanksgiving. And God bless you as well, sir. Hope you guys have a great day tomorrow. All right, you guys now, since Dusty's got this kicked off there, I know a couple of you have already shared it on the call-ins here, but you now can post right now. What do you think the score is going to be for your prediction? Be honest. If you think we're going to win, don't hold back. If you think we're going to lose, don't hold back. But try to be realistic on both sides of the equation there. I think I had the line, if you care about such things. The spread is now 19.5 in Alabama's favor, which is a little bit higher than their points per game versus our points per game. So I would say 19 feels a little high for me, just a little. I am going to probably say that Alabama wins. I think that's probably not a shock to anybody here. But I'm trying to kind of get to a point, and if this was a situation where we had Anders Carlson still, and again, no offense to Ben Patton, but you're the backup for a reason. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this. But whether it's, I'm not calling like a game-winning field goal, but those times when we fail to get in the end zone, we're going to need some field goals. And he is obviously reliable enough, but is he reliable enough to come through when we absolutely need him? I don't know. So with that being said, I could see Alabama getting out to an early lead, like a 10-0 lead. Auburn probably responding a little bit, and going into the half, maybe Alabama like 17-10. Maybe Auburn getting a field goal out of Ben Patton. And I think Alabama will probably push the lead out a little bit more, probably to like a 24-30 region. I think what I feel. Struggling with this one here because I want to be realistic, but I also want to acknowledge that Auburn's got a shot at this thing, right? So what do you guys think? Post right now. You're not giving me any help here. I got to know what you guys think as well. I know that's cheating, but I kind of want to know. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, so I'm not going to give my score prediction. No, give it. Be real, man. Just give it real here. Big Simp. My prediction is Turds 38, Auburn 17. If Bo was playing, I'd give us a chance. That you cannot take that away from a player. I said this to an Alabama fan. He was your stereotypical Alabama fan over the summer. I said he was trying to make the case that they're gonna wax the floor with us before even seeing the teams play in Jordan here. I said, I'm sorry, when did Bryce Young play in an Iron Bowl? And how many has he won? Oh, that's right, never played. Oh, that's right, never won. Bo Nix has played in 2. Has won 1. I'll take the one that's won 1 over one that's never even played. Didn't really have much to say to that. So, yes, we would have a chance more if Bo was here, but he's not. And we got to get behind TJ. 38-17 is what you said. Joe says WDE, and he's here. Good to see you, by the way. 28-35. I'm guessing you're saying in favor of Alabama. It's fair. Let's see. Rob says, I got Auburn 16-48. Whoa. I don't think it'll be that bad. You know what? I'll just go. I don't like the 19-point spread. I think Auburn can, I guess they call it covering it. I'm not a gambler, so I don't know all these terminologies and things. I'll say 33-17, Alabama wins. 33-17, which would be a 16-point spread. So just under there for me. Russell says 31-27. If we score that much, I think we can win. The problem is our defense has got to hold up, and I don't know that they can. That's the big issue for me. Auburn takes some deep shots early and open up a 14-point lead in the first quarter. That happened with Gene Chizik in his first year. We'll see if it happens. I said 10-44 Bama last week showed me no reason to believe that we can score and keep up, and I think that'll wear down the defense, and they'll eventually break. That narrative seems very likely. But hey, it's the Iron Bowl, man. Throw everything out. Everything that you knew. We're going to run the ball down their throat and keep Tank happy. I hope so. I really do hope so. The last two trips to Auburn, Alabama has lost. That is true. It is very true. Now, we had a different coach, different scheme and stuff. Never mind. I'm not going to open that door. Rob says Auburn will have to score 35 plus to stay close to winning. I don't see it. And that's kind of why I'm saying 17. I think we can get one field goal out of Ben Patton. I could see us scoring 2 touchdowns and Alabama just kind of eking away. And there'll be like some hope into the third quarter, and then it'll kind of drift away because our defense just can't hang on to that. Auburn 28, Bama 24. Would Saban having a meltdown? Would love that. Would love a meltdown. Would be worth freezing. Forgot to mention on the call, but it was a legitimate 6 yards rushing for Alabama versus Alabama. Wowza. So I'm saying there's a chance. Listen, if you don't believe that Auburn has a chance to beat Alabama, and listen, I know we all acknowledge that anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday. You know, we all get that. But if you don't recognize that the difference in this game, then you're not an Auburn fan. You're not, because that means you haven't been watching, you haven't been paying attention. But we also can be realistic. There's a legitimate shot for Auburn to win this game. A legitimate shot. They have to do almost everything perfectly. But this Alabama team is beatable. That's already been proven. This Alabama team has holes. And I think if we can rattle Bryce Young, we can play solid defense, the offense will respond to that, even with TJ at the helm. And I don't mean that as a shot at TJ. I just mean that he's new at this. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, a couple of things before we get out of here, guys. I again want to thank y'all so much for spending some time with me here. I know it's Thanksgiving week, and that's going to be exciting. If you're heading over to War Rapport, they go live at 9. Tell them we said hello and War Eagle. I hope they have a great live stream time. If they're going tonight, I would assume they are. I don't know if they took the week off for Thanksgiving. I would assume they didn't. But check out some of the links in the description for ways that you can help support our content here. We are mainly fan supported. We do have sponsors from time to time, like manscaped.com. Use that code E2C for some extra % off this week only. For the last little bit of November, we'll switch back. But a little special thing they've got going on for Black Friday and the early shopping period here. But also check out some of those links in the description, ways that you can be a fan supporter, whether it's just being here, hitting that like button, subscribing, all that good stuff. But there you can become a channel supporter, a Booster Club member, both starting at $1 a month, and you get some perks going up on the Booster Club. But just $1 here on the channel membership side. You can even get our logo and stuff on t-shirts there. They're having Black Friday sales. Don't miss out on that either. Anyway, if you need any help with that, let me know. I appreciate each and every one of you for being our little family within the Auburn family. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the best. And I appreciate you being here each and every week, whether it's live or on the replay. Let's do this. Let's get excited. It's Iron Bowl week. Believe, folks. We'll probably be upset when we talk again. But you got to believe. David, well, I was trying to make this all dramatic, and I can't now. Always remember that David was a 40-point underdog to Goliath. Shug Jordan, War Eagle.